All right, looks like all our speakers are here. I can see Jana, I can see Anna and Ria. All right, Shrishti is here. Right, perfect, perfect. So our star-studded panel of all our women leaders is already here. We'll start in another 5 minutes. All right, so another 60 seconds and then we'll start. I think we are all set. All right, so looks like we are all set and it's time to start. I can see all our speakers on the screen. Can we have our speakers on the screen, please? All right. So that's a perfect view if you ask me. So hello everyone and welcome, a very warm welcome, I would say, to the Open Innovator session. Well, it's absolutely fantastic to see so many bright minds here today. As we dive into the, I would say, the fascinating intersection of AI and mental wellness, right? And let's talk a little about this year as we approach the end of 2024, right? This session feels especially meaningful. I'll tell you why. Year end is a time for reflection on what we have achieved so far, the challenges we have faced, I would say, and the opportunities that lie ahead. It's also a chance to look forward, setting the stage for a fresh start in the new year. And what better way to end the year than by exploring how innovation and collaboration can make mental wellness more accessible and impactful for everyone. So, for those ladies and gentlemen new to the Open Innovator, welcome to the ultimate think tank where ideas don't just stay on the sticky notes, I'll tell you, but they are actually turned into action. And for our regulars, welcome back. That's your go-to home for all sort of innovation. You know the drill, right? Insightful discussions, inspiring innovation, and of course, a little bit of fun along the way. Because no one's getting bored on my watch. That's a promise. Now, let me set the stage for today's session. We are here to talk about something incredibly important, mental wellness, as we say it. So, did you know I have read a just on my way to my office, I read a stat that according to WHO, 1 in 8 people globally lives with a mental health condition. Well, that's a scary number. That's over 970 million people. right? You talk about numbers. And here's a kicker. Despite the growing awareness, mental health resources are still out of reach for many. Now, that's where AI steps in, not as a replacement for human care. This is very important, but as a superhero sidekick. Uh, that's making mental health support more accessible, personalized, and effective. Take this for example. AI-driven therapy platform can identify signs of anxiety, depression just from the speech pattern. Well, this is true. Emotional recognition algorithms can detect your mood. As I can say, see, Dr. Jenna is pretty happy and excited right now, right? Based on the facial expressions. And so is Andrea. While predictive mental health, can flag risk before they become crisis. It's like having a mental health coach who never takes a day off. And let me also tell you a fun fact. Did you know that AI can even track your mental health through your typing speed or word choice? So if you are hitting a keyboard like a jackhammer during the late night rants, it just suggests you get a little self-care. Now today's session promises to be more than just a discussion. It's a journey into how AI is transforming the mental wellness landscape. And we'll start an open discussion featuring our brilliant panel of experts who will share their insights, how AI is addressing challenges like accessibility, stigma, and personalization and mental health care. So without further ado, I would request my colleague, Agrima, to, let's quickly share some stats and numbers before we, that can set the context for today's discussion. Can we have the stats on the screen, please? All right. There you have it. Global market growth of the mental health market, right? It's bound to grow. That's some positive numbers. Next slide, please. And by the way, it's projected to grow at around 30% CAGR. All right, now this is very interesting distribution of technology or tech stack within the mental wellness space, right? Most of the space, is captured by chatbots and conversational AI, which is around 35%, right? Followed closely by ML for diagnosis and prediction, 25%, and then sentimental analysis, as we spoke about, is 10%. Next slide, please. So these are some astonishing numbers that, tell us how important this field is, which is often left untouched. All right, there you have it, 33% of, higher employee satisfaction and productivity, which is very true. I think the number is pretty high, but this is what the source tell us of World Economic Forum. And the last one, please. All right, 70 to 80% of individuals use digital cognitive behavioral therapy. All right, that's a huge number, right? So, with that numbers, let's get started with today's conversation. And can we all just take a moment, to appreciate something awesome? Right now, as you can see on my screen, ladies and gentlemen, our panel today is a powerhouse of women leaders driving change in AI and mental wellness. I would say if there was ever a tech-powered dream team of mental health, there you have it. They are here to share their insights, expertise, and some truly groundbreaking ideas. So I would say buckle up. This is going to be an inspiring ride, right? And now let me introduce them. Let me introduce our speakers to you today. We have Anna J. McDowell. From we did a little bit of research, Anna, about you from opera stage to coding keywords. Anna's career is a masterclass in innovation. She's an opera speaker, by the way, Google Women Techmaker Ambassador, and best-selling author of You Belong in Tech. Wow, that's too much. She's all about building impactful tools with a people over process mindset. Wow. Moving on, welcome, Anna. Moving on, we'll go to Andrea Octavia. Andrea is a powerhouse of, I would say, resilience and leadership, creator of Healing Storytelling newsletter. And she blends trauma-informed leadership with growth strategies to empower others. Wow, impressive. Andrea, welcome to Open Innovator session. And Next, we'll turn the spotlight to three incredible startup founders pitching today. We have Dr. Jenna Luther from Lean On Me, who's transforming accessible mental health support. Welcome, Dr. Jenna. We have Shrishti Srivastav joining us from InfiHeal with innovative solutions from emotional well-being. She's been all over places. She was at the Thai Leadership Forum lately. Welcome, Shrishti. We have Ramya joining us from Bangalore, right, from the same office, from Marbles Health, pioneering AI-driven mental health care. Perfect. We have all our speakers. So I'll just set the context. We'll have an open discussion with our speakers today, and then we move to the startup pitches, right? So let's dive right into the heart of our discussion. Anna, I'll start with you first. I would say your career is a masterclass in reinvention and leadership. So let me put it to you directly, with your experience in software development and leading innovative projects, how do you see AI transforming mental wellness services? And what shifts are you most excited about in this space particularly?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to give a little bit of detail as well, why I'm here specifically. So I'm currently engineering manager at Hello Better, which is an online digital therapeutics platform in Germany. So that's my connection to mental wellness, just in case anyone didn't quite get that. But yeah, I'm very excited about a lot of different things. Part of the reason I decided to join this industry, as you mentioned, I was formerly an opera singer as well, so very unusual transition into my tech career. And I moved into technology specifically because I believed that I had skills that would enable me to make the world a better place. And I believe that technology is one of, if not the key way to make that happen, be it in whatever field you want to look into. But mental health is obviously a field where there is a lot of movement happening at the moment. There's a lot more common awareness of it amongst the general population, I would say. Therapy terms are turning up in reality TV shows, like they're turning up in common everyday speech. It's becoming a normal part of the conversation. And there are a lot of also positive movements in terms of people being much more open about their mental health conditions, which I think is incredibly valuable. The downside to all of that from a societal or a governmental perspective is, of course, that also means there is more demand for mental health services and for people to be able to access the help they need. As more people become aware, oh, my uncle John, had depression and he saw a therapist that really helped him, or he had some medication, or he was on a program that really helped him in some way. I feel like I might be experiencing some symptoms. Maybe I should see someone too. These are conversations that are happening a lot more regularly, and I think it's a great thing that that's happening. In Germany specifically, of course, that's my context. I think Jana's context as well, if I'm understanding correctly. That basically a few different people. Okay, so lots of German perspectives here, but that's a real problem, right? Because the system is set up with the thought in mind that the level is going to be more or less constant, and that and relatively low when compared to the general population. So what we're seeing here are huge wait times to see therapists. We're seeing people who are in let's say not mental health emergencies to the point of, for example, suicidal ideation, but maybe to the point where they need help in the next month or two and they cannot get it, so they end up going to emergency departments because it's the only place they can get help. These kinds of things where we're losing this assistance, this immediate assistance that a lot of people need. Now, obviously, that's, to me, the key area where I see AI and especially LLMs being very useful in kind of bridging the gap, as you mentioned earlier, Naman,
Hmm.
between recognizing the need for help
Yeah.
and getting in front of a therapist. Yeah, bridging that gap where you can actually get help. So our courses, so the courses that my company works on, are very traditional in the sense that, oh, I have sleep problems, so I use the sleep app. I have vaginismus, so I use the vaginismus app. You know what I mean? Like those are kind of the traditional way of structuring courses. And what we're looking at, and obviously therefore what excites me the most because I'm, tangentially involved in it, is finding a way to do transdiagnostic courses for people. So using the data that we have in combination with therapeutic data, of course, in order to say, okay, what if someone has stress and burnout and sleep problems, right? We'd want them to download two different apps, or we want them to do the sleep app, or do we want them to do the burnout app? Well, no, there's probably a lot of useful information that combines these. So how can we actually structure things, or let's say restructure things in an automated way using AI, using data, in order to recreate these courses or restructure these courses so that they can cover someone who hits multiple symptoms or multiple conditions. That's the first thing that I think is really exciting. The second thing is, of course, the idea of having an AI therapist. A lot of different places are working on this idea at the moment, where you at least have, let's say, what's what I'm looking for, sympathetic ear or a sympathetic screen, in this case, to actually respond to your immediate concerns. And people are already using platforms like ChatGPT like this, like completely like non-developed LLMs that are not developed for this specific purpose. They already use this to get a sympathetic ear, and I think that is very exciting. It presents a lot of opportunities, but of course also lots of risks if people are not using the right platforms, or let's say the correctly trained platforms for that purpose. So I see. That's my summary. I hope that.
Right. No, thank you for for all those insights. Thank you, Anna. In fact, that's a fascinating start, I would say. Now, Andrea, coming to you, building on the topic of transformation that Anna touched upon. You also bring a unique blend of professional expertise and personal experience with trauma and healing, right?
Yeah.
So let me put
exactly.
it right. So let me ask you, from your perspective, what are the biggest challenges in integrating AI tools into mental health care systems, and how can these tools address the needs of individuals dealing with trauma, which is very important?
Yeah, so thank you for the question, actually, because I think even though I do have a background in startups and I do have a background in growth and in marketing, I'm not currently working in a startup or in a company that is connected with mental health, but I did have multiple burnouts, trauma, CPTSD, emotional neglect, subconscious emotional neglect trauma. So basically, I had to overcome all of this. And I've had the direct, meeting with everything that was happening in the German market, exactly like you mentioned, Anna. And I must say, I fully agree with the fact that we need something that is helping with the diagnosis on a global, on a more holistic level, and not just go for this app, for this topic and that topic, because initially you have no idea where you are. And I think it's very hard also to find that something is personalized for you, because everything is so specialized in especially in Germany. So everything is so incredibly specialized. And I think this topic of personalization versus too generalized or too specialized needs to be brought up also into a startup or a mental health context, because we are all unique, and it's so much lack of personalization in a way, and it's so hard to access even a good therapist for you. In most cases, actually, you need to wait for so long, and just to realize that maybe you're not even matching with that therapist. So then you need to restart the process once again. And then once you are getting a therapist and you're getting certain workflows, the workflows might be maybe a little bit bureaucratic in certain cases. So How can we make it in a way that it's easier with the help of AI? Because in the end, especially when you're in burnout or when you're in a big trauma, you absolutely do not have the mental capacity for any structured big thing. So something that is simple, something that is clear, something that it's easy to follow, something that makes sense for you and is not complicated with a lot of technical or mental terms. Something that is human in the end, something that shows, makes you feel safe, makes you feel that there is this compassionate ear on the other side. And also, I think back to safety, I think this is very, very important, the privacy part. Because I mean, first of all, in trauma especially, one of the biggest relational harms is the lack of choice and the lack of agency. And if you are not even providing the consent topic, then there's a big issue. There's a big gap. It doesn't matter from which part of the globe you are. GDPR kind of standards provide a sense of security, a sense of safety for a person that doesn't know, okay, am I safe with this AI to tell my entire life? I mean, me personally, I'm already sharing everything in this healing newsletter, because whenever I have seen somebody sharing something, even though maybe I kept my silence because I was feeling in that moment, ashamed, or I was afraid to show that I have any kind of problem, now I'm fully open because I know the value of sharing this information. But when you're in the beginning of the journey, you're not there. You need to feel safe. You need to feel secure. You need to feel that somebody has you in a good hand. So I would put the accent especially on these, like personalization and generalization, where exactly is the balance there? I would definitely say that trust is very important, trust and safety. And probably how can we simplify, how can we make these workflows between the therapies, the insurance agency, or any client that is maybe in the waiting line or that is already collaborating with the therapist. How can we make these workflows as easy, as smooth as possible, while still, keeping all the official documents in check, in place, because that is very important here as well. Oh, and also in the language of the person, because everything is in German, and with German, I'm like, I do know German at the level of C1, but when you're in trauma, you don't speak in German. You speak in native language, or maximum in the language that you most use.
Correct. No, that's quite an insightful take, Andrea. Now, back to Anna. In fact, I would also like to bring in Dr. Jana, Shrishti, and Ramya for this particular question, because this is an important question. Now, Anna, first to you. AI and ethical programming is one of your key strengths, right? We did our own little research, and we understand that ethical programming is something very close to your heart, right? AI, while revolutionary, we all know, but can sometimes, unintentionally reinforce biases or stigmas, right? So now my question to you is, how do we ensure that mental wellness tools are inclusive, fair, and ethically sound?
Okay, a few different ways. The short answer is it's impossible to ensure it 100%, right? That's the short answer. That's the sad thing. But there are ways that we can minimize it, right? there are ways that we can improve our chances. I like to focus on the positive, as you can probably tell from my personality. And one of the things for me is, so firstly, for anyone who's maybe not aware, AI is not, when we're speaking about AI, we are not talking about some general AI that has the same intelligence as a human, right? AI in the end is a form of machine learning. Machine learning learns certain patterns from data and then is able to replicate or feed back those patterns to people. So what does that mean? If biases exist, they exist in the data. So AI is only as strong as the data set that it works with. This is part of the reason why you see some really extreme examples of biases and stereotypes, especially when ChatGPT first became popular in DALL-E as well, especially with image generation first started being released. You know, you'd say, give me an image of a CEO, and it would always be like a white man in a suit, right? Always. So there were certain things like that that were coming back. They were reflections of the data that AI is fed. The AI isn't thinking to itself, you know, I know I'm gonna, be a racist misogynist today. It doesn't have any thoughts. It's just using what it's got. So if we are working with AI and we want to improve it, we want to minimize these biases, want to minimize these stereotypes, we have to firstly look at the data set that we're giving it. We need data engineers and data scientists. It's not my specialty, but we have people who do this to actually check that the data is relevant. Yeah. So do we really need to know how old someone is in certain data? In some data, yes. In some data, no. We don't. Do we really need to know the gender of the person? Again, in some situations, no, we don't actually need to know that, to know about that person. There is certain information that can be vetted there in order to make sure that the data set itself is, clean and relevant. But it's not as simple as that, of course. AI systems also rely on feedback loops. What that means to those who don't know is that whatever the AI gives you back, you need to also let the AI know, was that good or was that bad or was that in between? What was the problem? So that's also the work of data teams, right? But also of practitioners and also of business leaders, also product people. Everyone really needs to be involved in this, in seeing, okay, what did we get back? Was it problematic for a particular reason? And if so, give that feedback either to the system or to the data engineers that you work with so that they can look into it and say, okay, what went wrong here? Or what assumptions do we have in our algorithm that is leading to this continuation of biases? And I would argue as well, before we move on, that it's extra important right now because we're still in the very early foundational stages of AI. And what that means is we have the potential here to impact the data of future AI systems as well, right? If we allow bad or biased data to roam free, then that in turn will end up feeding future AI systems and the loop continues, right? So it's also about like interfering and being loud and being present so that we can catch these things as early as possible in the data itself.
No, great point, Anna. Well said. We have just scratched the surface. There is too much to explore now,
Of course.
right? And now I would like to bring Shrishti and Dr. Jana and Ramya into the discussion. And now let's talk about innovation at large. You three, women founders, leaders are leading innovation, right? And with so much happening in the AI and mental wellness space, my question to you is, what are some of the most exciting advancements you have come across, right? Number one, you will of course talk about your solution, that is for sure. But what development should we be watching out for? This is for all our audience who have joined us. We have a full house today. So we'll first start with Shrishti. Shrishti, over to you. Quickly, if you can just tell us, we'll have the pitching later, but just to answer the question, so with so much happening in AI, some of the most exciting advancements you can talk about.
Right. So we obviously have a lot of AI therapists being built. This has been made possible because of advances in conversational AI and history taking abilities. Like I think most LLMs have gotten better at taking history. So this makes it possible to link and really understand where things are coming from. Even if you want to implement something like a trauma informed approach, right? Because you have the capacity to take history and also include techniques like graph RAG, which is able to infer relationships between between different items, right? So that ensures that you have something called as hyper personalization. You're able to personalize not just based on the cultural context, but also based on somebody's early childhood history, somebody's past, and that's exciting. Also, I do think that people who are working on vertical solutions like us or any other mental health care startup, they have the responsibility to also focus on forward linkages. So what we do is we also match people to therapists based on the conversations that they have, right? So if
Mhm.
during the conversation I realize that a person is, for example, showing is open to experience, is introverted, using the ocean model here, then I will try to
Mhm.
find a therapist which is a good match for that person, right? I would
Right.
actually want to match them to a therapist who perhaps encourages critical thinking
Mhm.
versus somebody who's just focused, in the role of a
Right.
passive listener, right? So
Oh,
we can
right.
you can work on all of those things. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Jenna, Dr. Jenna, your take.
Yeah, there has been a lot that has been quite inspiring, and actually just to pick up on Anna's comment, in particular in the German market, which is quite regulated and always like, you know, like everything about AI and mental health is all about the negative first and then about the benefits, but actually no one really talks about the benefits. And maybe I want to comment on that quickly, and then I'm going to get into like what are the like the new innovative things. But I would say right now AI, like in the preventative space, can do so much, in particular in that spectrum. So not in emergency spaces where definitely like people, like real people and psychologists, psychiatrists are needed. However, now with AI, we have so many more data points. Like as we touched point before, no person can literally get the entire picture what has led to an anxiety or depression. But if you can collect all the data and literally kind of like map out like a neuro, like a brain, you know, like what's really happening, it can help so much. And at the same time, we actually have tracking, because in the traditional therapy or in traditional like even coaching, like there is hardly any tracking and measurement. So right now, because of AI and data, we can actually see, oh, there is actually a certain progress. I mean, there is certain standardized tests like the GAD-7 for anxiety, for example, but it's so standardized. And as we said, like every person's individual journey is quite special. So that's quite interesting. And then we can learn so much, like this recursive learning and the exponential growth we can now see, as well as the customization. It's instantly available 24/7, because that's the problem I see the most. You have an appointment with your psychologist once a week, but your world is crashing on a Sunday night at 2 a.m. And then you need someone in that moment. And like it does not really help you to then see someone like a professional when the emotion is past, because it's actually you're dealing with emotions, not with the logic. With logic, everyone can explain whatever you have to decide on, but it's
Right.
really about tackling the emotion and detach from the emotion. And that's why a lot of people also suffer from PTSD, because they cannot detach from the emotion anymore. And then an aspect we have not mentioned, which I see quite as a potential, it's community. That because of AI, that's what we cover in our startup now, we can also kind of link up a community, because people want three things. They want to be seen, heard, and validated. That's what they want, in particular youngsters nowadays. So it's often they need to kind of like have rapport. So that's why the matching with a psychologist therapist is really important, so they can have the trust. But actually what we want is we want to see us mirrored, you know, like that we actually have a feeling, oh, we're actually not so different, and what we experience is actually not too bad. It's just what you go through. There are solutions, and someone can help you by mirroring what you need, and then you have some little bit more clarity and like a bit more confidence about your next step. So like this aspect of like also like guided community, that's why like for example the AAA program or AA, the Anonymous Alcoholics, is so successful, because it is run in a community, and AI can actually like tag into that, because with technology we can connect so many more people around the globe with similar challenges. It's not even problems, it's just challenges, and you're stuck there and you don't know the solution. But then in a guided way, you can find your way through that. You actually feel, oh, I am enough, I'm not different, I'm as other people, and there's just a challenge, I don't know the answer, but I have some more confidence and some more clarity about what I need to do, because that's when actually the mental health problems start, because you feel lost and you feel like, oh, there's no option, but there is.
Right.
But yeah, I can talk
No,
about
great,
forever
great.
about that topic.
No, we'll come to you again later. So that's actually a great insight. You know, seen, heard, and validated. These are the things that resonate with all of us, right? At some level. So thank you for sharing all those insights. We'll go to Ramya now. Ramya, I mean, you've been working on a smart solution. We'll discuss about it during the pitching session. But if I just wanted to understand what are, you've been in this space since some time now. Now, what are some of the, innovative solutions that you have come across, or what do you think? How does the future of mental wellness looks like? Quickly.
Right. So I think all of the speakers on the call have done a brilliant job in elucidating, um, in all the ways that AI can help, right? And I totally concur. It's undeniable that, with an increasingly isolated world, people will turn to chatbots more and more to seek that emotional support and strength. uh, what I would like to introduce here as a new topic of discussion would be how the mind and body are very connected to each other, and that we can't just like look at the mind in isolation, in the sense that we emotions are bodily. We feel emotions through our body. It's not just through words. It's not just through what we hear, what we say. So from that perspective, especially PTSD, especially when you're, let's say you're having a panic attack, it's you can't talk someone through it. You have to be there for someone, or at least it's a more physical thing. It becomes a physical thing, right? So what where I see AI can help, or technology in general can help, is that more and more people today have smartwatches that they're wearing.
Mhm.
More and more people are tracking health data on a day in and day out basis. What they're eating through smart glucose monitors, their screen time, their screen activity. They have health monitors that they're wearing on their wrists that can measure their physical activity. Adding all of this together, one can actually predict, if this person is in a depressive cycle right now, or is likely to become anxious,
Right.
extremely anxious, that
Right.
they're to the point of indecisiveness. So the idea is that breath is a very simple measurement of this fact. So
Correct.
if you have these monitors that can actually measure your pulse, your breathing rate,
Sure.
these are your heart rate variability. These are simple
Right.
things that, if sometimes people don't understand what's happening to them on a mental level,
Mhm.
but their body recognizes.
Correct. Correct.
So
Correct.
the body can give us signs earlier than even, our brain catches up later in what's
Mhm.
happening to the
Right.
person. So,
Right.
not just through what people are saying, but also through what the body is going through. So integrating
Mhm.
variables into this ecosystem, I think, is the next big step for us, because through chatbots, through ABC, it's only what the person is saying. But like, as throughout the 4 years that we've been in this space, what we've realized is that that's just 50% of it. 50%
Correct.
of it
Correct.
is what the body is telling you. And
Mhm.
to voice, that's a powerful way that we can also identify. You mentioned it at the starting, Naman, but through
Right.
heart rate variability, through pulse, through breath work, I
Right.
think,
So there are
that's a,
multiple parameters that can
yeah,
come into
yeah,
picture.
that's
Great.
an
No,
unexplored area
yeah,
that I
right,
think
right. Oh, that's a
everybody.
great take. That's a great take, Ramya. We'll come back to you again during the pitching session. And now we'll be shifting gears slightly, Andrea. Let's, privacy and ethics are top concern when using AI in mental wellness, right? You all would agree. So, Andrea, my question to you now is, how do we balance protecting user data that we talk about a lot with creating effective and impactful tools like Shrishti is building, Dr. Jaina is building, or for example Ramya is building? So how do you ensure user data gets protected in such fast moving innovative world?
Yeah, I think in this case it's very important to really keep you know to keep within the lines of what is truly trustworthy in the space of AI, of all the legal topics, of all the mental health protection, let's say from the point of view of privacy, and then also from the point of view of safety, because it's a lot a matter of emotions and body reactions, like you mentioned. What I learned in my experience is that actually I was not even, aware of the vagus nerve, for example. So this is one topic that you just learn, in biology, but you don't really understand what's the impact of it until you hit it directly. And this is something that it's sometimes maybe so simple. How can you teach people how to regulate their nervous system? Because it's not so complicated. So how can you make sure that, first of all, people feel safe from a grounded perspective, and that is not, that everything is not interpreted through the panic attack that you have, because you're going to share something with somebody that, okay, it's providing all the safety tools, but you are not feeling safe in your body. And that is something that you just cannot overcome. It doesn't matter how many safety, barriers or safety, I don't know, walls or whatever you're putting around the tool. If I don't feel safe using any kind of AI, then I will not use it. It doesn't matter how much you're telling me that this is good. So how can we make sure that while we are doing this, we also have maybe something like basic nervous system regulation, so that people are taking their decision from a grounded perspective already,
Right.
from a place where they feel safe in their body. I think this is such a overlooked aspect, generally speaking. And it's not just 50% like you said, Ramya. It's actually 20 to 80 from what I know. It's 20% that is communicating from the brain to the body, but 80% from the body to the brain. So actually our instincts are 80%. It doesn't matter if we are writing just 20% and we are chatting, and speech therapy is working only partially, but 80% is in the body, and that's where you have the subconscious emotions as well. And then if it's also locked and it's in the subconscious, it's not going to be easy to unlock them. So, yeah.
Yet again, a great take, Andrea. In fact, I really like your point where you touched upon that this is one such space that you don't read in biology, but you only get to know until unless you're impacted with it, right? Great point. So, and finally, a question for both you and Anna, to reflect on as we look to the future. So, how do you envision AI reshaping mental health treatment and prevention over the next decade, I would say? And a follow-up question, Anna, what excites you the most about the future of AI and mental wellness? You write a lot about mental wellness. You read a lot about mental wellness right now. Let's ask you directly, what excites you most about the future of AI and mental wellness? And how do you see it, shaping over the next decade?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to answer that because I feel like a lot of what happens in the next decade is dependent on how much government comes on board with it, to be honest. Like, not just in Germany, but around the world, and also how much the population comes on board with it. I think there's immense potential there. I can see a future in 10 years' time where, people check in with an AI assistant every day. They do a few like quick questions, maybe a few breathing exercises, or whatever to help them get started. Maybe do a guided meditation if that's something that's helpful for them, where they have immediate access to maybe an AI assistant if they feel stressed or overwhelmed, or they're starting to feel like something's going wrong for them. And then that AI assistant can determine if they need to speak to a real human or not, and then instantly connect them to a therapist, maybe even automatically schedule something, connect to their calendar and say, okay, I've booked this time for you with this therapist. You're both free at this time. You seem to be a good match personality wise, and I've already sent all your information that you've approved me to give to that therapist. Be there at 10 a.m. or whatever it is. I can see a future in which that happens. Where do I think we'll be in 10 years? Maybe it's a little more modest, especially here in Germany, where there really is a bit of resistance, I would say, not just from government, but also from the general population. As Andrea said, there's a lot of skepticism about AI and what it is. Yeah, a lot of people have this catastrophic idea of like, you know, a robot that takes over society and is going to enslave us all. And as soon as they hear AI, they think this has nothing to do with people. Yeah, this is about machines, and they disconnect from that idea. And the idea that AI could actually improve your sense of humanity, or as Dr. Jana said, to connect you to other people, yeah, to create a sense of community or a sense of belonging. Like, that's just not the association that people have right now. Like, that's a huge cultural barrier that I think all mental wellness applications and businesses will have to come to terms with. So yeah, in terms of what excites me the most, I really, for me, I really hope that I hope we come as close to my vision as possible. But I would also say in general, like, where I think there's a lot of potential is especially this idea of just having someone to chat to. I know we've clarified here that like a lot of it is about the body, but at the very least, like, you know, AI can also give exercises for breathing. It can also help you learn about the vagus nerve. You know, like it can actually help start forming that foundational knowledge. Because to me, there are kind of like two massive challenges. The first is about getting the general population to a level of education about mental health where they can kind of, when they are like neurotypical, where they can kind of look after their general mental well-being in the same way that they are aware of and try to look after their physical well-being.
Right.
That's the first challenge. And then the second is these situations of disturbance or emergencies, or not even full emergencies, you know, just situations where it's starting to go downhill for you and you know that something needs to change. And those situations, I really feel like there's also potential there if people are already in regular contact with some sort of AI assistant or some sort of AI platform, that they can start getting access to those ideas or to those services when things start going south for them, you know, so that it's not out of nowhere, you know, they just expected to use an AI tool in the middle of trauma. No, it should hopefully be a part of their everyday life in such a way that it blends, the mental health care just blends into their normal routine. That would be how I would like to see things go.
Well, that's an
we'll just have
interesting
to wait and
take.
see.
Interesting take, Anna. And now quickly, Andrea, before we move to the startup pitches, all our founders are patiently waiting. So, Andrea, your take, are you bullish on mental wellness space? Should we bet high stakes on it?
Depends on the country. I would say.
Well, that's a wise answer, yes.
Yeah. So I'm personally really looking forward for some immersive therapies, because especially when it comes to emotional therapy or completing a certain emotional experience, there's so few people that are actually emotionally available, and you would basically just end up doing and creating more and more trauma bonds over and over again, even when you're in therapy. And then how do you complete that emotional experience that it just hits you, exactly like you said, somewhere in the night, somewhere in the evening, somewhere at whatever time. And I think this space would be very, very helpful if it could be supported with maybe some kind of immersive type of, AI or gamified therapy. And that would be, something that I'm very excited, and I would love to test it out, because I'm also working in digital. I'm very friendly with AI, so I would be excited about this topic. However, before that, like I said, depends on the country. So I think to maybe complete on what Anna said, besides the making friends with AI in Germany, as an example, we need also to destigmatize mental health care, emotional health trauma topics, like trauma-informed topics, because so many people are actually, hearing about trauma or burnout or mental health, and they're like, yeah, okay, it's good, go and do some yoga, or go and breathe some a little bit, or go and have a walk, which is not how you treat this. So
Right.
this stigmatizing the topics, making things more open and more interesting in a way, because when you hear about trauma, oh, I don't want to touch that, right? Or you hear, oh, burnout, how should I walk around you? Like, I'm a human, I don't need to walk in any way different next to me, just be a human, just have compassion, and just talk like you would talk with a friend, and that's all. But most people just abandon you, just stigmatize you even worse in a moment when you're the most vulnerable, or even kick you when you're worse at on the ground. So I think this is so important to have this open talk in a compassionate, a humane way, because it's gonna help to destigmatize, first of all, the topic of trauma, of therapy, of mental health and emotional wellness, and then introducing also the aspect of AI, of how can we basically destigmatize both in a way at the same time.
Right. Perfect. All right. So there you have it. What an amazing discussion we just had, right? And thank you, Andrea and Anna,
Thank
for the
you.
insightful takes and thought-provoking ideas, I would say. And it's our 15th session this year, 15 or 16 session. We do one session every 25 days, right? So it's not every day you get to hear from such inspiring women driving innovation in AI and mental wellness. Let's give them a big round of applause, virtual or otherwise, right? And now, fasten your seatbelt, I would say, as we move from big ideas to bold action, right? It's time to shine the spotlight on the future of trailblazers in this space, our startup founders, right? You see those smiling faces on the screen. Yes, they are our founders, right? So these innovators are not just imagining solutions, I would say. They are building them, testing them, and then bringing them to life, to tackle the real world challenges in mental wellness space. So I'll just quickly set the context in the interest of time. Each founder will have 8 minutes or 8 to 10 minutes to pitch their groundbreaking AI driven solution. So prepare to be inspired, all our attendees who have joined us from different parts of the country, and prepare to be inspired because what you are about to see represent the cutting edge of mental health technology. First up, without further ado, we have Dr. Jana Ruther, founder of Lean on Me. So, Dr. Jana, over to you. The stage is yours. Please guide us through your innovative solution. So you have 8 to 10 minutes to brief about your solution. Right. Over to you, Dr. Jana.
All right. Thank you. I'm gonna share my screen.
Sure.
Can you see it?
Right. We can see it. Yes.
And my slides as well, right?
Right.
Okay, perfect. All right. So picture this. There's this student called Felix. He's a master student about to finish his master's in Germany, in Munich, at the LMU. And everything seems to be great. Like, if you go on his social media account, he's like living the life. He went to the Oktoberfest, with his friends and family. Everything seems to be like, like lots of partying, lots of traveling, like great life. Just after that Oktoberfest event, the next day, he's found dead in his apartment. And actually, my friend found him. So basically what happened is that this story, and which is not an unusual one, is basically what's happening quite a lot at the moment in this world, that everything seems to be fine from the outside, but actually what's happening inside for our youngsters, for the Generation Z, no one actually knows about. So Felix was not doing fine. He was, well, we don't know what actually happened because he didn't even write a letter to say goodbye to his parents. Everything seemed to be fine from the outside. However, he committed suicide because he was so much under pressure, apparently, by his studies that he didn't even know what else to do. So that's how I wanted to introduce Lean on Me, where we empower the Generation Z to thrive 24/7, and actually that such cases like this example of Felix doesn't even have to happen. So quick, the current situation here is that worldwide, 1 out of 2 students actually suffers from mental health disorders. So if you go outside right now and if you look at on the street, every second student has a certain kind of mental health problem in terms of anxiety. It can be social anxiety, financial anxiety, depression, eating disorder, ADHD, you name it, any kind of mental health challenge at the moment, right? 407 billion is the mental health cost for that particular group. So in total, it's around, what's going to be 6 trillion by 2030. But right now, for the Generation Z, it's about 470 billion mental health costs, whereas 240 million are already concerned with depression and anxiety. And these are only the cases that are actually recorded. We don't even know what is the number of adolescents and young adults who have not even reported that they are depressed or haven't seen any professional mental health care person yet. And there's a 25% increase of mental health conditions, and it's increasing more and more. So let's have a look at what are the drivers. Well, for sure, digital media consumption, as I mentioned with Felix, everything seems to be great. Like basically there is this illusion versus reality. You can put in filters, like no one really knows what you actually experience and if that person on social media is actually happy, because if you often meet that person is not happy. So a lot of digital media consumption, a lot of FOMO, fear of missing out, peer comparison, a lot of body image problems here, in particular for young women. Then there's a lot of academic and social pressure, like landing like the perfect job, but then also a lot of anxiety and uncertainty, like what is it actually what I wanted to do next? I'm going to get into that in a second. Value change. The young generation, adolescents and young adults, they have different values as, for example, the generation baby boomer, where nowadays they actually ask the question about what is my purpose by the age of 18, or they want to get or land a job where they actually can contribute or like create or generate a certain meaning, right? Then we have economic uncertainty that we've seen during COVID, that a lot of youngsters in particular, they don't trust the government, they don't trust any institution anymore because there's been so much uncertainty. But then at the same time, in terms of what to do next, they don't even know, should they become now an influencer? Should they earn their money on OnlyFans, or should they actually learn coding, because nowadays AI can take over? Like what they're supposed to do. There's a lot of uncertainty here, and they really pretty much feel socially isolated. They don't know how to communicate properly anymore, or they haven't even learned it. They have a lot of anxiety when it comes to social interaction and communication, as well as tapping into their own emotions and really like figuring out what's actually happening. So what we can see here is there's a huge support gap of you as a youngster facing mental health problems as the ones I mentioned, depression, anxiety, body dysmorphia, etc. And even if you detected that you actually want support, there is none available or not enough, because we have this huge gap between supply, therapists and psychologists, and demand. And this gap is growing, actually, unfortunately. So the problem we are facing here is that there's lack of availability, like having access to the experts, finding the right experts, actually having the right match, as we heard before, that it doesn't, even if you then land a therapy spot, it's not guaranteed that it's going to help you, right? And it's taken quite some time to get to the solution, to actually find some support, and then you're actually doing better. Limited accessibility depending on where you are in this world. And at the same time, there's often the problem that they actually tell you that you're not eligible enough. Sorry, you're not depressed enough, or your anxiety is not really as bad. So please come back when there is actually some severity, right? The problem about cost. The great experts are really expensive. I mean, I'm German, so there's like this kind of like first and second class system with the governmental support, and then you know your private insurance where there's quite some difference. So actually, mental health is not democratized. It is actually quite like put into silos according to what your budget is, and then the availability actually comes into place. And then we have a lot of stigma, in particular around certain cultures, but also in terms of as soon as you actually have a mental health app on your phone and you're working with that on an unconscious level, you're telling yourself there's something wrong. And that should actually be not the case. Because my vision, as for example, Anna stated her vision, my vision is that you have a personal trainer for your mind all the time. Same as you go to the gym all the time, not because you're obese, but you want to stay fit and you want to become even more fit. And then the last one is there's currently no proper tracking of improvement. There's no measurement. And this is actually also what the youngsters nowadays want. Like they would like to see improvement. They want to see transparency. They want to see what's actually happening with them. So they want to actually go along on their journey. And that's how our solution, Lean On Me, comes into place. We help the Generation Z to beat academic stress and to crush career anxiety. So these are the two topics for our MVP for now, by using an AI bot, which is running on WhatsApp. So basically leveraging the systems that are already in place, as well as a supportive community where you can feel you can be seen, heard, and validated at the same time in a guided space. So that you as a youngster, you can feel more control and you can feel more confident about your future, about the next step you're supposed to take. So what we're going to look into here, our products. So our main product is our AI bot, which runs on WhatsApp. I'm going to show you a little demonstration in a second. Then the community, but we have a great vision. So we also want to, well, it's going to be gamified. Everything should be like measurable and tracked. We're going to come up with a resource library where you have educational content, but in a TikTok kind of style, because we also have to use the same kind of methodologies what social media is using at the moment. So you're actually getting a positive reinforcement that you're going to use it. Then we want to connect you to the right professionals as we collect a lot of data about you, so we actually know what you need and to whom we can connect you according to your personality type. And with your consent, we can then actually help you to get onboarded with a professional much faster, because you don't need to take like 4 sessions, for example, to get to know the story. Like you literally get a report where everything is already mapped out, what you've been through. So for example, if you're facing anxiety, maybe your anxiety is actually not driven by you facing academic stress, but you actually have an addiction problem because you consume 4 mate or like energy drinks every day, and that's causing your anxiety and causing your sleep problems. So basically our team here is, I'm Jana, I'm the founder of Lean On Me. We have Tamron, our pediatricianist, our children psychologist here. Then we have Kino, our tech guy. We have another guy who is helping us from the back end, who's Dennis. He just joined recently, as well as Max, who is our head of community now. And then we have first investors, Benedict, and also Stefano. Sorry, that slide is not really updated, but as you know, startups are growing intensively, and then 2 advisors. But let's go into Leanie. So basically here you can see what is happening. We want to approach universities first and then later on the corporates. So with universities, we would like to give them a QR code so that they can actually offer our solution to their students, because we don't want the students to pay for it. And then you basically have a very quick onboarding where you can just scan the QR code, you're getting linked to WhatsApp, you will be asked 3 questions, and you're onboarded and you're good to go. And then basically you have Leanie as your 24/7 buddy who can help you, can give you good strategy, can reflect certain thoughts, like basically is your mirror to kind of walk through certain challenges you're facing, to give you this feeling that you know a little bit more what you have to do and you have more confidence in the end of the day. And then what we do as well is we run certain assessments. So for example, right now you can see here on the right, that's the GAD-7, which we run, which is a generalized anxiety test. We run on constant trigger points where we kind of collect data to see like how you're doing, but also we have some other some other functionalities, how to literally track your progress, which we then also going to demonstrate you in a gamified way. So we already have some collaborate partners where we work together with universities to test our MVP to kind of see, okay, what are the students really needing? So we're targeting the Gen Z, which means 16 to 25. For now, we're focused on bachelor and master students. And we already have 2 corporate partners who are willing to test our product as well as we're targeting the topic of career uncertainty as well. So we also want to help them to onboard the Generation Z in a much easier way.
All right.
And that's pretty much it.
Almost
So-
time. Yeah, that was quite a crisp and neat pitch on time. And looks like there are some questions that we'll take after the pitches, right? And all right,
Okay.
I see some virtual claps. Okay, the screen is full with some virtual claps. So there you have it. You know.
Thank
So
you.
the
And maybe
pitch
one
was
last
pretty-
comment. Yeah, but
Please
we
do, please
just
do.
opened
Yes.
the doors. We just opened the doors for like a second round of investors. So in case someone would like to hop on board in a strategic way or financial way, we just opened the doors to join our mission.
Please- Sure thing. In fact, we do have some investors who have joined us today, right? If you could just, send in your email ID in the chat board, we would be happy to, connect you with the right set of investors. And otherwise also we'll be in touch, right? And for any specific use case, we would be happy to, connect you to them. And moving
you.
on, up next, as we said, we have Shrishti, right? Please be with us till the end. We'll take more questions towards the end. And we have Shrishti. So Shrishti, over to you. Before we come to you, right? Let me just take up one question that is for us speakers. So that question is from Navratan Kataria from Bangalore. He's the Center Director of Center of Excellence, Mighty Center of Excellence. So the question is, anyone, Anna or Andrea, anyone can take it up, right? What is the opportunity for collaborative programs across Germany and India that is currently available? And lots of, this is very important, lots of data which is usually unavailable due to strong privacy needs. So there is more the reason to collaborate, right? So please also confirm if mental problems are similar across the globe. Anyone who wish to take this up? Andrea. All right.
I mean, I can say my, biased opinion in a way, from the point of view of the person that has entered into all this emotional space without having any kind of focus before. And from all my interactions, I basically realized that we are all humans and we have the same root type of emotions, emotional wounds and mental wounds. And it's just a matter of how exactly is applied into your life, depending on the culture or which one is more, let's say, impactful in your life. So, for example, we all have different losses in our lives. Then we have the wound of loss. We maybe had some betrayals, or maybe we had abandonments, or maybe we felt judged, we felt rejected. So there are different wounds that are so similar, and I think it's not a matter of country or culture. It's a matter of how or where exactly are you within a certain culture, because maybe within a certain culture you can talk about the top 1, 2, 3 wounds, but you're not going to talk about all the wounds. So I think it's more a matter of seeing how compatible these are, because if one is working on the wound of judgment and the other one on the wound of rejection, then one will judge the other one and the other one will feel rejected. So then it's going to be a little bit of an issue.
Right.
So that's where I think it would be very, very interesting to see the matching point of view.
Got
But
it.
otherwise, we all have the same.
Right. So no, that's an interesting take. We'll discuss more as we go along. And before we bring in Shrishti, Dr. Jana, I would once again like to thank you, right? You especially centered your pitch around,
very buzzword called Gen Z, right? So that's the most spoken word these days after AI, I would say, right? I have a few Gen Z in my team as well, right? So I can understand what pain points you are looking forward to. So over to you, Shrishti, right? With this, we move to Shrishti now.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll just quickly share my screen. Okay. I hope this is visible now.
Not right now. Yes, we can see it. Right. We see a unique robot over there. Yes.
Okay. So we've built an AI therapist and companion for mental and sexual health, and ours has been clinically proven. It's clinically validated, and it's anonymous. We've focused on affordability, made it multilingual, so it's available in 93 languages. It's voice to text enabled and accessible 24/7, and it's holistic. Um, I think Dr. Jaina spent quite some time establishing the problem very well. So I'll just quickly just go over it. There's obviously in India, the number one problem is stigma. There's a lot of stigma around going to a therapist, being seen around a therapist. People think that, you're crazy or you have a problem that you're unable to resolve yourself. If by chance somebody overcomes stigma, there is a shortage of mental health professionals, meaning that I have to wait for like some time before I can get access to a therapist. So typically, the shortest time that I will take will be probably a day, and the longest time that I can possibly take could be like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, right? A lot of us can't wait that long. Now, there's also a lack of support in between therapy sessions. Most therapists actually are constantly taking therapy sessions back to back, so they don't have time to necessarily, you know, um, answer your queries as and when they happen, right? So most of the therapists I'll get a revert if I message my therapist now. I'll probably get a revert after she's done with all her therapy sessions, which will be around like 10 o'clock or maybe even later, right? There's also misdiagnosis, like there's a preference for medication focused diagnosis. This is something I found in the Indian system. Like we found a lot of people getting diagnosed with bipolar versus borderline personality. They might have a similar presentation in a lot of cases, but of course there's a bias, which is medication focused. There's also outdated ways of treatment. Like we have poor academia to industry transfer. A lot of good research happening, but it's not reaching the people. And if I have to essentially get the right kind of information, I usually have to Google and read up the research papers myself. um, and obviously the counseling sessions are not affordable without insurance. In the Indian context, we don't have a well developed insurance system, so most of the people actually go to government hospitals, but it's long wait times there. And otherwise, the other option is private therapy sessions are priced very high, and most people can't afford it. There is no centralized mental health records for easy therapist changes. So it takes some time to find the right fit. Let's say I don't find the right fit. I have to go to another therapist, open up again once again about all of my problems, right? So that's a very difficult thing for most people to do. It's very draining to talk about your problem again and again from the start, right? And if I talk about mental health apps, there are too many. Like you have too many apps. There's one app for journaling, there's another app for therapy, there's another app for meditation. You have something like a Calm Headspace for meditation. So there are too many apps, but the data is not integrated, right? I'm not getting insights from these apps which are transferable, right? So basically, a lot of there's no proper tracking which helps me understand what's the utilization of all of these apps. Did this solution A benefit me more, or was the solution B, right? So our solution is essentially you use generative AI and you use a large therapy data set. So our proprietary therapy data set has around um, 1 lakh therapy sessions, 100,000 therapy sessions. So we have one of the largest therapy data sets in the country, and I possibly the world, which is cleaned and which is conversationalized in a chat format, and that has actually been added to any LLM, and we basically use a bunch of LLMs for different cases, and we've built this with the help of psychologists, psychiatrists, and doctors, right? So ours is capable of handling a variety of concerns. It's of course focused on I would say, just a second, yes. Ours is of course focused on something called as a risk assessment based system. So if somebody comes to us and is a very high risk situation like say suicide, self-harm, homicidal ideation, here I don't think AI should play a role. I think here this is the point where we should match people with distress helplines. So what we do is we connect them to the nearest distress helpline, which is functioning either within the state or the national distress helpline. In case people don't dial on the number, we give them a safety plan for high risk cases. When it comes to medium risk, people who are clinically diagnosed with anxiety, depression, ADHD, OCD, and 70 plus disorders, in that case, we actually match people to therapists, and we also provide psychoeducation. A lot of time in therapy sessions is centered around providing psychoeducation to people, explaining the symptoms, explaining how to deal with things. All of that, all of those educational components can be handled by an AI, right? And you can also give action based solutions. A lot of therapists actually on our platform choose to give homework to people, they give worksheets. So all of that is actually tracked by an AI assistant. So it gives guided exercises and it provides action based solutions. When it comes to low risk cases, which is 70% of our cases, these are like issues like academic anxiety, as Dr. Jenna said, also relationship issues, work stress, parenting issues, problems with roommates, all the Gen Z topics, right, that you can think of, and even not Gen Z, like parenting issues, people who are new parents, who became parents recently, who are new parents, right? All of those kind of issues are dealt with our AI assistant, and that's where we actually provide people recommendations, podcast, movies, songs, and of course the conventional chat-based support that we have, which is essentially trained on a very large therapy data set, right? Here too, you can provide psychoeducation and guided exercises, and we also have short courses. But all of this actually comes via the assistant. So you don't have multiple separate tabs that people can need to click on and figure out what they need. The AI assistant figures out what is the right kind of solution and gives it to you in the moment, right? Also personality development. One is of course stress, but just general personality development, increasing confidence, becoming a better orator. All of those things are covered. Then our solution is, why are we doing it now? There's obviously, I mean, I can probably skip this, but it's because of the fact that a lot of us have become comfortable with chat-based environments thanks to GPT. And since COVID, especially in India, more people are prioritizing their mental health. So there is a very good time for us to actually enter the market. Um, in terms of our features, we are not just here to provide Hilo, the AI therapist, but Hilo also provides psychometric tests. Hilo also provides personality-based therapist matching, a community tool. We have productivity tools for people who have executive dysfunction. You have meditation and healing music. You also have a personality report that's generated at the end of your conversation. So after your conversation ends, Hilo is able to infer things like this person seems to be introverted, they seems to be high on openness, they seem to be high on neuroticism. All of those insights are given by Hilo. And then, of course, we have our own distress helpline too, SOS and distress helpline too. And of course, then we have self-care activities. I can actually play, I think we may have time for a demo. So I'll just quickly play our demo. Yes. I hope my screen is visible.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's super.
Oh, wait, it's Hilo.
Hi, I am Hilo, your friendly and wise 24/7 mental health companion. Seems like someone needs me. Let's go.
I feel like nobody understands me. I don't know what to do.
Sometimes we all carry things we don't talk about, right? What if there was a space where you could let it all out? No judgment? Just you being real? I'm here to listen whenever you're ready. Through our conversations, I can help you recognize patterns, offer insights, and guide you towards solutions that fit your needs. The best part? My knowledge is rooted in expertise from psychologists, so the insights I provide are backed by real data and designed to address over 50 clinical and non-clinical issues. But that's not all I do. I'm here to support you in more ways than one. With self-care cards, you get quick, simple activities that boost your well-being. In-house tests, designed by psychologists, help you gain quick insights into yourself. And when you need to unwind, chill music offers tunes to relax, uplift, or energize your mood. Or for productivity, the Focus Zone has tools like a timer, mood check, journal, and to-do list to help you stay organized and on track. And when you're ready to connect, our community offers a safe, supportive space where you can share, learn, and grow alongside others who get it. Together, we'll navigate the storm, explore the unknown, and celebrate the moments of light while healing along the way.
All right, so that was a short demo. Coming back to where we were. So yeah, like we've designed it as a full stack solution, and we are essentially focused. I'll just quickly go over numbers as well. This is
Yeah,
quickly,
Shrishti. Yes, quickly wind it up.
Sure. So we 420 billion is the size of the market, and we are focused on a global market. We've had 100 plus countries using our product already. So we have a web app that's used globally. Our iOS and Google Store app is actually available in India and the US. We've had 70,000 users, beta users in the last 6 months, and we've had 1,000 plus mental health professionals onboarded on our app. Right now, we've had over 500,000 chats ongoing, and we have an AI therapy satisfaction rate of 91%. So this is essentially, we measure it using a few KPIs like symptomatic alleviation and mood improvement. And in terms of our pricing, we basically have a free version and we have a paid subscription that people can actually use. We've also signed MOUs with Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Government of India. So that is helping us potentially serve 100,000 clients over a span of 3 years from now. We also provide customized plans with EAP programs, which are designed for universities, hospitals, as well as corporates. And so far, we've had several paid partnerships. We've had several B2B. We've almost had like 7 B2B partnerships, and we have had the MOU with Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, which is essentially will help us reach 100,000 people. And additionally, we are also focused on the B2C side. The B2C side has generated around 500,000 chats till date. So Healo's proven impact, we published papers in journals in IGI Global and Taylor and Francis, chatbots as a tool for psychoeducation, because that was our focus area. And we constantly have stakeholder consultations and validations in our process, where we actually open up papers and we invite critical feedback on our chatbot by subject matter experts. So would be happy to have everybody on the panel here. Would like to invite everybody on the panel here as well. And in terms of deep tech, we are using, of course, generative AI, but we are also fine-tuning our own healthcare LLM, which will help us build a solution that hospitals can just plug in and build their own chatbots on top of them. And that, I think, is the future of any kind of AI assistant, an assistant that everybody can tweak as per their own unique needs, right? And that's also shown by our product roadmap. And we've had several industry recognitions. We are part of NVIDIA Inception, Google for Startups, OpenAI, Forbes list, and so on and so forth. And the PM Modi, Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi actually mentioned us in Mann Ki Baat. This is NVIDIA founder Jensen Huang actually endorsing our product Healo. And yeah, I think with that, I would like to close this. Thank you so much.
Well,
it's lovely hearing you out there. Yes.
No, great, Shrishti. Thank you. I believe you have got the validation from the top boss, PM Modi, right? So I think that was a great pitch, Shrishti. And with this, let me, so ladies and gentlemen, I believe you have heard a lot about these solutions that are helping mental wellness. Now it's time to, learn about a physical product or a device that is actually helping cure depression and other mental illness, right? And I would now like to invite our next speaker, Ramya, founder of Marble Health. Ramya, over to you. I believe you're carrying your device as well, right?
I just have to drop out. I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you,
I haven't
Dr. Jana. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
you.
Dr. Jana. Hi, everybody. I hope it's been a long conversation, but it's been a productive conversation. And I hope to round it off with something very exciting. I will just share my screen while it's happening. Just a second. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So what we do at Marbles Health is very simple. We're building the future of safe brain health, which is focused on the individual. Again, when we talk about brain health, building chatbots, AI, etc., is incredibly powerful, and it's the starting point of contact with the user. What we are doing comes in a little more later stage, where the user realizes that, okay, there is a mental health condition that the person is going through, and they now seek extra help. Right now, where is this extra help coming from? Mostly psychiatrists, therapists. Psychiatrists is the most commonly sought after help, where they go on seeking medication. Here, what we do with Marbles Health is we are building safer technologies that are much more safer than medication. Basically, something as we go forward, I'll walk you through it. This is a stat that Naman also mentioned at the starting of the conversation, that 1 in 7 people today have some or the other psychiatric condition, and they're steeply on the rise. Largest of these are depressive disorders. Regardless of whatever neuropsychiatric condition a person has, 80% of all of them have some or the other depression symptoms. Coming to some other stats, something that's super close to our hearts and something that's that we are working towards is the stat that by 2030 mental health would cost the global economy more than cancer, diabetes, and respiratory disease combined. And this is the data that WHO and World Economic Forum have together worked on. What do we have today that can cater to this rising demand in mental health care solutions? Today, mostly when we look at after a person, see, mental health is a spectrum, right? First, a person has to first recognize that they need help. Then the help is provided either through chatbots or through social workers or through therapists in the middle, where they understand, okay, whether this is a short-term issue or whether it is something that's a disorder. Once they recognize what it is, that's where the actual help starts from, in a more structured format. This could involve medication, it could involve machines, or it could involve CBT and other forms of structured psychotherapy. Here, when we look at this market of solutions in front of us, the biggest of them is pharma, where they contribute to almost 90% of all solutions that are sought out by people today. When we look at this monopoly that the pharma industry has, we understand that this monopoly exists because of largely one thing, which is just simplicity of use. That it's so simple to just go get medication and keep having that medication on a day in and a day out basis. There is no effort that the person has to make from their side in talking to someone, in discussing their issues, because a lot of the time it can be incredibly stigma inducing. It could feel like you could feel helpless when you talk to people, because talking, it's not immediate, it's not an immediate outcome. On the other hand, we are all so familiar with just popping a pill and just leaving it to the pill to handle. Just because of that one simple fact, pharma is dominating the solutions today. The other, despite the issues that it has, for example, there's limited efficacy. Only 60% of people actually benefit from it. Largely, it is a very placebo kind of an effect. There is also serious side effects that are associated with medications: sexual dysfunction, lack of appetite. You can also start developing digestive issues, and the time of effect is also larger, like it at least takes around 4 to 5 weeks for the medications to kick in. Now, despite this, again, as we saw, that the simple ease of use is what's dominating the rest of the solution, what makes this dominate the rest of the solutions. Now, coming to other interventions today, again, psychotherapy has been largely discussed today. There's not enough people out there to provide the kind of care that the world requires today, and it's also not very cost sensitive for the kind of economic disparity that there exists today. Next, something that's not that well understood today, again because of the cost barrier and the stigma, is stimulation, and biologically helping a person through stimulation, brain stimulation as a technology. Again, the issue here is cost. It costs a lot to establish such a device in a doctor's clinic, or for a patient to get such a therapy for themselves. However, it is super effective. Now, looking at everything in front of us today in terms of therapy and allied tools like chatbots, big machines, pharma, we look at what is the best out of all of these things, right? The ease of use of pharmaceuticals is extremely nice, and it's the largest selling point. The safety of stimulation as a technology for different psychiatric conditions is what's the best thing that we can get out of these machines. And the personalization of therapy is what's best in psychotherapy and allied tools. What we have built at Marbles Health is a combination of all of them, where we provide the ease of use of medications in the technology of brain stimulation, and we have managed to personalize it for each and every person. That's where, again, that this is us. We are Marbles Health. We're a symphony of technology and biology. We make a hardware device. So the technology basically is built in collaboration with top healthcare institutions in India: NIMHANS, AIIMS Delhi, Central Institute of Psychiatry, and KMC Manipal. It's also been medically approved by the government of India, and we are building this from India for the world. So the first hurdle was to clear the regulatory approvals in India, which we have recently done, and we've received this around 2 months ago. The next hurdle would be FDA in the US and EU in Europe, which is what we are going to aim for next. Here, what exactly this device does is it provides active brain stimulation in the form of a very easy to use portable device. All you have to do is wear this device, connect it to your phone using Bluetooth, and you're ready to go. Essentially, the technology that's being used is called transcranial direct current stimulation. It's a very safe technology, and it has been approved in EU, UK, and in the FDA also. It has received breakthrough device designation approval. Over the next year or so, we're expecting that even FDA will approve the technology as a treatment for depression.
Ramya, quickly, you need to wind it up quickly.
Yes, so this is some of the results that we've seen, that it has around 63.8% efficacy results on patients, which is crazy, which is similar to medication. Again, what does this device mean for the future of care delivery? It's more effective when you combine the stimulation along with medication, or even use it as a standalone technology. It's safer, and when you combine it with medication, it's much more effective. It has a quantitative approach where we use data to track how the brain is improving over over the course of treatment, and it's a very holistic and safe way of treating. Again, these are some benefits for the doctor and the patient. It's cost efficient, it's personalized, because for each patient you get the device, and the device tracks the individual patient's journey. This is our business model. We already have 65 plus pre-orders. Primarily, we are selling to doctors in India first, to generate trust amongst doctors before we reach directly to the users. The first device is very focused on doctors, where we provide a doctor dashboard, we provide a patient application, and we provide the device. It all comes under 2.5 lakhs. When we make this at scale, as we go D2C, the cost will come down significantly. There's a recurring cost, there's an annual maintenance cost, etc., just as medical devices go. And mostly we are partnering with leading psychiatry chains to scale this. This is a small business statistic from India in particular, where this industry of antidepressants has been growing by 20 to 30% every year, similar to the diabetic and antibiotics segment. You can see the clear growth in numbers of the existing pharma companies and how well they're doing in terms of business. What we are trying to achieve here is to make treatment much more safer by giving doctors and patients an alternative to care and an adjunctive that over a period of time reduces the amount of dependence that we have on antidepressants.
Ramya,
So
I think
that's
last 30 seconds, quickly, if you can just sum it up.
So along with the device, we also have an app. And right now, using the app, we try and personalize the stimulation parameters to each individual. Yeah. Just a second. This is us. I'm one of the founders and my co-founder, Lakshay. We are advised by a stellar group of people from Novartis, from UC Berkeley, from other neurotech companies around the world, and some of the largest companies in India. Our core team is also very stellar, including the national sales managers of Abbott, Thyrocare, and people from leading institutes around the country. We are now presently raising our second round, and we invite people who would like to collaborate strategically in terms of their advice or their finance.
All right. So I would request Ramya and Smriti to, drop your email IDs in the chat box for all our attendees. And also, the future of mental wellness now definitely looks brighter, and all thanks to people like Smriti, Dr. Jana, and Ramya, right? And Andrea and Anna, we've been doing a lot of sessions, and how do we evaluate the success or I would say the ROI for attendees of any session? The success of any event or session is often judged by the attendees who stay until the very end. And today is one of those days where we have managed to maintain a strong turnaround throughout this long and highly productive discussion, right? And we've been getting a lot of questions, and this was an engaging session, honestly. And so there you have it. We have come to an end of today's discussion. And as we bring today's session to a close, let's take a moment to reflect not just what we have discussed today, but on the year that's passed, right? And 2024 has been a year of innovation, progress, and collaboration. And what's better way to wrap up the year than focusing on something as important and impactful as mental wellness? So, mental health, I would say, is a journey. You all touched upon the point that it doesn't need to follow a calendar. But as we stand here, just weeks away from the new year, there is an opportunity to carry forward the lessons, insight, and ideas we have shared today. And on that note, let's make the next year, 2025, a year where we continue to build solutions that heal, reduce stigma, and make mental wellness accessible to all. So thank you once again. Today's session has shown us that AI, when combined with empathy, purpose, has a power to transform lives. And as we prepare to welcome New Year, let's take the energy and hope from today to turn it into action. And a heartfelt thank to all our speakers, everyone who has been part of today's session. You are the reason these conversations and innovation matter. And here's to a wonderful end to 2024 and even brighter next year, filled with growth, connections, and breakthroughs in mental wellness. Happy holidays, everyone. Until we meet again, take care, stay inspired, and have a great new year. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.